This year I'm running the London Marathon and it will be my 6th marathon to date, and the one thing that has been constant throughout all my marathons to date has been using a Garmin watch. I used a Fenix 6 Pro in Gothenburg for my first marathon in 2023, a Forerunner 965 in Paris and Chicago in 2024, and an Epix Pro Gen 2 in Amsterdam and Valencia in 2025, and it will also be my watch for London 2026. Over that time, I've come to rely on my watch to pretty much be my brain during the race, so I can just focus on putting one foot in front of the other, so I thought I'd share how I set up my watch on marathon day. This video is not sponsored by Garmin or any of the brands I mention in this video. I bought my current watch, the Epix Pro Gen 2, secondhand back in November 2024 off Vinted for £375. If you want to support the channel and you are shopping for literally anything on Amazon, please consider using my links in the video description. That really helps me keep this channel going at no extra cost to you. While I'll be talking about the Epix Pro Gen 2 watch, what I say should be applicable across most modern Garmin sports watches, such as the Forerunner and the Fenix series. My setup involves creating a custom activity profile specific for the marathon with data screens, alerts, auto laps, all optimized for what I want on race day. I'm not going to deep dive into how you create a custom activity profile in this video. I did that in this previous video, which I'll link in the description and at the end of the video. So go and watch that if you want the details on how to do that a little bit more. I've called this activity Run Marathon, and it sits alongside my favorite activities alongside other running profiles called 1K laps, workout, and track run. I'll start by talking about the data screens I have set up for a marathon. The main screen is by far the busiest and contains 8 separate data fields. This might seem excessive, but over my 5 marathons to date, I've landed on this as my preferred setup, giving me mostly all the information I need at a glance on one screen. The first 3 data fields give me an overall view of how the marathon is going. At the top is total elapsed time, telling me how long I've been running in total. The row underneath is the total marathon distance I have ran and my overall average pace for the total marathon. The next row are 2 data fields about my current lap, and they are lap distance and my average pace for the lap. This will be very much down to personal preference, but I like to split a marathon into 5K laps. So for these data fields to work as I want, I need to make sure that the auto lap setting within this activity is set to 5K. I think the default is 1K. I learned very quickly into my first marathon back in 2023 that I didn't want to be reminded every time a kilometre ticks by. For me, it makes time feel like it passes incredibly slowly. During a park run or a 10K race, kilometre laps are my preference, but not for longer races such as a half or a full marathon. Also, when I'm recording race vlogs, I typically record an update every 5K, so this also serves as a reminder to record an update. I also think 5K laps during longer races help me with my pacing. I'm not particularly bothered if my 23rd kilometre was faster or slower than my 24th, but I do want to know how my 25 to 30 kilometre split compares with my 30 to 35, for example. On the next row, I've got time of day and how far ahead or behind my goal time I am. For this data field to work properly, it requires you to jump into the training submenu to set up a goal. For this, I use quick workout and then distance and time, and then select the distance. Marathon is one of the presets, but there is a custom option, say you were running a distance that is not in the presets. A word of caution here, using the marathon preset is based on you crossing the finish line at exactly 42.195 kilometers, and I can tell you now that when you cross that finish line, your watch isn't going to say exactly that. Here are the distances that my watches have said for my last 5 marathons to date at the finish line. Gothenburg was 42.3, Paris 42.7, and Chicago, Amsterdam and Valencia were all 42.6 kilometers. So for London, I'm actually going to use custom and set it to 42.6. After this, you get the option to enter a goal time. For the presets, you can choose a manual time or use your watch's prediction or a previous PB. but for custom, you have to set the time. For London, I am targeting 3 hours 45 minutes, so I'm going to enter 3 hours 44 minutes and 59 seconds manually. You'll then see a screen telling you your target time as well as your target average pace. So for me in London, that's about 5 minutes 17 per kilometre average pace. That ahead behind data screen will then tell you at any point of the marathon how far ahead or behind your target you are. And your finish time is always your chip time, irrespective of what your watch says the distance is or what Strava says is your marathon time. If I used my Strava marathon PB, it would be almost 3 minutes quicker than it actually is, and I feel like I'd only really be cheating myself. And the final data field at the bottom of the screen is my heart rate, which I actually record on a bicep positioned Polar Verity Sense connected to my Garmin for better reliability. On a second data screen, I have 3 data fields which tell me my previous lap time, distance and pace. The reason I have this screen is that when I finish the 5k lap, my watch will alert me and a screen will pop up for a few seconds with my split details. Often I miss this and it's something that I refer to in my race vlogs, so I like to have it as a fail-safe for that data. And as for data screens, that is it. The next thing I have to set up in this activity are alerts. I have 2 recurring alerts that remind me to eat every 6 kilometers and take a hydration tablet every 10 kilometers. To set up alerts, you go to More Settings, then Alerts. You can set up alerts for all sorts of things like heart rate, pace, distance, power, but I set up custom ones and then you can choose your message, in my case, eat and electro, and then you set the frequency. This can be time or distance based. I use distance based ones, 6k for eating, 10k for electrolytes, and I make sure to have the repeat set to on. Once again, this video is completely not sponsored, but if you're interested in the gels I'll be using in London, I'll be using 2 Morton non-caffeinated gel 100s, 2 Morton caffeinated gel 100s, and 2 Styrker dual carb gel 50s in mixed berry flavour. It has taken me years to find gels that don't upset my stomach, and even though they are expensive, I've found Morton to be pretty reliable in that sense, and I've been using them since my 2nd marathon. More recently, I gave Styrker a go, and I really like the berry flavoured dual carb gel 50s, and they also don't seem to upset my stomach either. I have had a box of the Styrker Gel 30 caffeine gels during my London training block, but they actually taste kind of awful. It's kind of like Jägermeister, which I don't really want the taste of mid-marathon, so I've gone back to my Morton for the caffeine fix. Also, I've had so many Styrker gel sachets split. Never happened with Morton's or other gels, so I think they need to look at their packaging. And for my hydration, I use Precision Hydration 250mg electrolyte capsules. I rely on aid stations for water during marathons, so topping up my electrolytes, normally every other aid station, so that alarm just reminds me to do that. And that is pretty much it. I've put links in the description to the products I've talked about in this video. As mentioned earlier, it's not sponsored, but if you do use my links, I get a small commission, which helps keep the channel going. Hopefully that has been useful if you're heading into a big race soon. Let me know down in the comments if you have any questions. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you soon. See ya.